from No Way That's Healthy, and we're making supper again. This is my favorite recipe of all time. I grew up having it for supper, and I always hoped there'd be leftovers so I could bring it to school the next day. It's my mom's famous spinach cheese quiche, and she's even here to show you how it's done. Now let's cook supper. For the crust of the quiche, you can use the store-bought frozen pie crust. That's what we had growing up, and I love that so much, but I can't always find it, especially where I live. So what I do is I make my own, and it tastes almost just as good as the one I had growing up. So you're going to take some flour here and add in your salt. For the flour, I've used successfully whole wheat flour, regular flour, spelt. You just need to make sure that it's the right consistency and you're good. You're going to add in some water. You can also use milk here or non-dairy milk, doesn't matter. And then oil, and give that a good mix. If you're using a whole wheat flour, then I would suggest using probably a half a cup less at first and then slowly add in more flour as needed because it absorbs differently. At a certain point, I just like to use my hands for this and just get rid of the spoon and just bring it all together into a nice ball of dough. Comes together really easily. Now that everything is pulled away from the bowl, it is a nice ball of dough, and we're going to put it into the pie shell. Now a few options for your quiche crust. So you can use one of these nice tart pans. It's really nice because you could pop it out and serve it like that, and you see the nice ridges on the side. Also use an actual pie crust pan like they sell in the stores, just like the ones that already have the crust in them, but just the pan, and then put your crust in here, and then you're gonna need 2 of them for that. So really it's up to you, but again, you could also just use 2 of the frozen pie crusts, and those are great. I have a piece of parchment here. I'm going to take half of the dough, depending on which pan you're using, but I'm using the 2 smaller pans, and I'm going to roll this out into a circle. If it's not perfectly round, you can just take the edges and sort of turn it into a nice circle that will fit the pan. You can just check and see if there's enough to pull up the sides. If you need to roll it out a bit more, I'm just gonna bake the sides in a little bit nicer. It's okay, it does not need to be perfect. Now you're just gonna place this right on top and flip it over. Make sure it's all pressed down and then slowly pull away the parchment. Now at this point, you could just adjust it to make it fit a bit better. If it wasn't perfect, don't worry, it'll be amazing no matter what. Now if there's a little bit extra here, you can pull it off and put it into the size it doesn't have. You can crimp the sides like this if you'd like. It's just optional and extra, but it's for the look. You take your pointer finger and push it between the thumb and the middle finger, and it sort of makes this little crimp shape on the edges. Now at this point, we're gonna put it in the oven, but you wanna take a fork and just make a few little holes on the bottom and on the side. Now you're going to put this into the oven for about 10 minutes, just so that it firms up a bit, cooks a little bit before putting in the filling.
Hi, we have 20 ounces of chopped spinach that was thawed, and now we need to drain it really well, get out all that excess moisture.
Okay, so I actually use this kind of strainer, and it really helped to get rid of all that liquid without removing any of that precious spinach. So we're gonna put that right back into the bowl.
Okay, now we're going to add the chopped onions, the shredded mozzarella, and the dill weed. Mix it really, really, really well, so everything gets the cheese, the onions, the dill, and the spinach. May have to separate the spinach a little bit more because it sometimes clumps together. Okay, it looks good.
And we have the 2 pie crusts here. We're just going to put half of the mixture into one of the pie crusts and the other half in the other pie crust. When was the last time you made me this?
Probably before you went to seminary.
Okay.
I'm going to take the milk and combine it with the already checked eggs. Combine it well. It's combined, and now it's going to put half on top of one and half on top of the other. Just eyeball it. Make sure that the milk and egg mixture cover the spinach mixture. And now it's going to get covered and go into the oven.
You can serve the quiche with salmon on the side or really anything that you'd like, but I am loving this fresh tomato salad. The colorful cherry tomatoes, it just brightens up the dish and it tastes incredible, and it's very easy to do. All you're gonna do is take the tomatoes, cut them in half, and then you're going to put in some sliced up scallions and parsley, then some salt, as well as some black pepper, then a small drizzle of olive oil, and give that a toss. That's basically it. This was incredibly simple just because the tomatoes are so flavorful already. You don't really need to add very much, and it is just a really great side dish to have with this quiche or without. Okay, this is the best ever. It smells so good. Okay, so now, my mom, what do you do usually?
I usually use Munster cheese.
Okay.
One layer all around.
Slices of Munster cheese on here, right. But we're just using more shredded cheese this time.
Whatever cheese you like or have is good.
Like a thin layer over the top?
Thin layer, yeah.
Okay, and on this side too. Spread that out evenly.
Perfect.
And now we're gonna put it back in the oven uncovered.
And it's just gonna bubble and melt and even get a little bit brownish, and even the crust will get a little bit darker. It's crazy delicious.
Okay, they're both out of the oven and they look amazing, smell incredible.
It really does.
You can just let it sit a bit before you cut into it.
Right.
You want it to firm and set up a bit, and then totally enjoy it. We're serving it with this delicious fresh salad here. It just goes really well together, but honestly, if you want to have this another time and just eat the quiche, that's okay too. It's so good. We hope you try out this recipe.
Yep.
It's going to be perfect for Shavuos or any dairy meal that you have during the week, and maybe it'll become a staple in your home like it was in mine growing up.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Mom.
Okay, pleasure. Bye, everyone. Enjoy.